Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is the December 14th, 2016 meeting of the Lowell Conservation Commission. Moving on to tonight's agenda, the first item on the agenda is a request for determination of applicability. Dana Kelly. Project location is 74 Lafayette Street, and it's to replace an existing gravel driveway with a bituminous concrete, and the proposed work is located entirely within the floodplain. Mr. Beatty, if you could kindly identify yourself for the record.
Peter Beatty with Greater Lowell Engineering.
Dana Kelly.
So tonight I'm here representing Mr. Kelly, 74 Lafayette Street, 3-unit dwelling over, which exists in the floodplain, and he's looking to pave a driveway over there. And the plan is not to exceed the current elevations on the site, to obviously excavate and maybe actually even redirect stormwater away from the house into an infiltration trench.
All right, is that it, basically?
Yeah.
Okay. So the whole idea behind the infiltration trench is to hopefully get the water away from the basement? I mean, what's the groundwater there?
We don't really know where the groundwater is.
Okay, I mean, just knowing that neighborhood, I mean, that's probably like one of the lowest points in the city, so.
Well,
Average elevation on the site is between 66 and 68 feet, floodplain being, base flood elevation being 71 feet.
Yeah.
So we're definitely in the flood.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I mean, you can do what you're proposing. I'm, you know, if it's just to, you know, repave, to put in pavement instead of gravel, that's fine. I would say you probably don't even need that infiltration trench, but if you're hoping to divert water away from the foundation, were you getting water in the basement? Is that the?
The basement's original 1930 dirt stone foundation. There's no standing water in there.
There's no standing water in there?
No, never
Okay.
has been. I've owned it since 2008.
All right, I mean, if the whole idea for the infiltration trench is to, you know, is just to get runoff, then I'd say you probably don't need it.
It was the suggestion of engineering that we did need some stormwater remediation on the site. I thought it was a little unusual myself, and obviously would prefer not to.
Is there, so, I mean, you're bordered to the south by Lafayette, and on the east and west, your yard is grass?
Yeah, there's a little bit of grass, yeah.
Little bit of grass? So to the west, okay, so that's facing your house to the left.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you have a neighbor there?
Yes.
Grass, is there like a little retaining wall or anything like that?
No, it's just sloped earth.
Okay. You know, I mean, you're so low there, that whole neighborhood. I mean, you guys were under several feet of water a couple of years ago or a decade ago. I mean,
Yeah,
that was,
yeah.
you guys get hit the worst.
It was halfway up the windows.
Yeah. That's just a single-family residence?
No, that's a 3-family.
Oh, it's a 3-family?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you changing the footprint of the driveway at all?
I want to make it a little bit wider to make access for cars to get in and out easy. And there used to be a garage that inverted itself, so I got rid of that. And there's the pavement for that, or the concrete. I want to get rid of that and just continue up to the back of where it was.
Okay, so you're making the impervious bigger then? Is that what I'm hearing?
So, yeah, a little bit bigger, yeah.
Mr. Beatty, did you take any spot elevations, or do you have the topo for the surrounding yards?
No, I did not. I took some shots in the street.
What's Lafayette Street? What's the elevations on Lafayette Street?
They're approximately 66, 65, and heading east, they're obviously sloping a little bit further downward. So, for instance, the catch basin that is benchmarked there across the street is elevation 64.6. But there are spot shots that are indicated on the plan, only on this specific site.
All right, I have no further questions. Commissioner Varnum?
I think I would agree that on this particular site, I don't think an infiltration trench is going to be too useful. Seems to be quite an increase in impervious surface here. Could you,
Well, I mean, the whole.
There is an increase.
I mean, there's an
Certainly.
increase, but, I mean, it's all gravel, so therefore, it's all an increase.
you're going from about 2,000 to about 4,500 square feet impervious, is that correct?
Yeah, about 4,300.
Oh, 4,300.
Total of about 64% of the property would be impervious.
I don't really see that you can, I don't see any way to improve that situation of that particular lot, being where it's located, so, you know, I would just hope that the increase isn't going to be too much of an
I have microphone problems tonight. Commissioner Lovely?
Sure. I concur with my colleagues here that, you know, I guess as a general comment, given the situation here, I'm not sure what an infiltration trench does, but, you know, one could argue that if you're almost doubling the amount of impervious surface there, you know, now you're creating more sheet flow off your property onto someone else's, and this is a way to alleviate that. So while I recognize that given where the property is located, it may not, on a significant storm, provide much benefit, I think probably keeping it there would be prudent, at least for the purpose of addressing the appearance that increasing the amount of impervious surface on the property was going to increase sheet flow off your property and maybe creating a problem for someone else. Not that I'm saying that it would, but I think, you know, keeping the trench there would probably be a counter-argument to that. But I, for one, looking at the scale and the scope of this project, you know, would be willing to entertain a -3 determination and not need to go with a notice of intent. That's all I have.
Commissioner Toner?
Will you be adding any grade to the existing closer to the 3-story residential?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite
Yeah,
get...
you'd speak, yeah.
Will you be adding any grade to the to the side of the driveway closer to the building?
No, we're actually going to be holding the grade closest to the building.
Okay, so you're just going to be removing from the other side,
Yeah,
bringing that down so that it,
about 3/10, just to try to get it to flow in the opposite direction.
okay. Okay.
Tenths of a foot, I mean.
Commissioner McDonough? Commissioner Dillon?
No comments.
All right, so, I mean, it seems to me that the, you know, and I'm not looking at the topography for the neighboring sites, but it seems to me that that the slope here on Lafayette is from the west downward to the east. So the higher elevation is to the left.
Yeah,
And
the
it,
street goes up.
Right.
All property goes up.
right, it goes up to the university, right?
It goes up to
And down,
Riverside,
right, and down to the brook.
yes.
Right.
Yeah, so, I mean, looking at it that way, it doesn't look like the infiltration trench is gonna catch much coming off the driveway anyway. You know, because it's all gonna go towards the house. Or is that, and, you know, because I'm looking at, like, for instance, you know, going from north to south on the west side of the driveway, on the left side, you know, it's, well, going from south to north, going from the front corner, I mean, you're 66, you've got a spot elevation of 66, and on the right side, you're 65.9. So it's, you know, goes down like an inch and a half or so. And that seems to do the, you know, for you guys, your perspective, it seems to go that way. I'm exaggerating it, it's basically flat, but, you know, the water will basically sheet towards the house.
Well, that's why we were trying to regrade, remove some of the grade from the left side or the west side of that drive and redirect away from the house. That's what we were
Oh, all right,
proposing
okay,
here.
oh, all right, now I'm looking at your proposed, okay. So, all right, so you're slightly bringing it back that way.
Yeah, and certainly we could swale it in the middle and send it directly to the street, but we were just trying to sort of, you know, capture some of it, you know, infiltrate some of it, detain some of it, if you will, and,
Yeah, but my suggestion would be, and, you know, we can make this, you know, we can make this as part, but my suggestion would be, what is your landscaping on the western front, so to speak?
so beyond the proposed infiltration trench, there's a slight grass strip, and then it slopes up towards the neighboring,
Right.
towards the abutting property.
Right, so my suggestion would be, instead of the infiltration trench, would be to plant a couple of bushes over there, right? Because those will take up some water. One, especially if you get something that's likes water. Two, if you have some groundwater, it'll help. And three, it'll, you know, prevent that natural barrier. It'll create the, you know, the sheet flow will just go into the looser earth around the roots of the bushes, okay? So, I mean, for me, I would rather see something like that than you know, these things, because these things are just become a maintenance issue.
Likewise, yeah, we
You know,
agree with that.
and, you know, Commissioner Varna made the comment that their utility is marginal. So, especially in a situation like this. I mean, so, you know, if we, and I agree with Commissioner Lovely, I think we can -3 this. You know, you know, if there's agreement amongst my fellow commissioners that we could -3 it with the condition that some hydrophilic shrubbery or plantings along the western boundary be placed, and that, as opposed to the infiltration trench. And I think that may satisfy that issue, okay? Keep your grades as you're proposing, and I think I would rather see something like that.
Okay.
Okay.
So with that being said, I'll offer a motion to issue a -3 determination for this project with the condition to, in lieu of the infiltration trench, put some shrubs, water-loving shrubs along that same footprint where the infiltration trench is located on your figure.
And just, you can, yeah, Commissioner Martin?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Open for discussion. And you can just, you don't need to submit a plan, or you can just, you know, draw those in on the plan you've submitted tonight, okay, before you go, with a letter about the type of shrubbery. Check the invasive species list, okay, and don't use anything on that. Okay, it's a short list, but some greenhouses still sell invasives, so, okay?
Okay.
But other than that, do I have, let me just open this. Anyone like to offer their comments or concerns regarding this request for determination? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to tonight's second item is a request for determination of applicability. Gloria Novo. Project location is 168 River Road. And it's a submittal, a request for determination of applicability to remove 2 oak trees that are located within 100 feet of the Merrimack River. Yes, ma'am, if you could identify yourself for the record?
Gloria Novo.
And other than what I read out, removing the 2 oak trees, can you just describe why, what condition they are?
Well, I don't know the condition. I don't know the condition. I know that one of the trees is like leaning towards my house, and if it fell, it would fall into my house. And one of them that looks just like that fell into the 2 houses over a couple of years ago and went right through the house. So that's one reason. The other reason that I would like to remove them is that the fact that there are so many acorns and so many branches that it costs me twice a year between $600 and $800 to have the acorns and the branches moved. I can't go in my backyard at all or I'll fall, because it's just an acorn rug, you know? So I don't, you know, if you want me to replace them with something that acorns don't fall off and the branches don't fall, and I'm not scared of it falling into my living room. It's just the 2 in the middle. I don't know if you have a picture there.
Yeah.
You do? Yeah.
So it looks like the 2 smaller ones?
The 2 right in the exact middle.
Yeah, they're numbered 2 and 3.
Numbered 2 and 3?
I don't, this one, yeah. 1, 2, 3, yeah. And I don't mind leaving stumps or replanting or anything. Yep. Mm-hmm. The other ones are not, you know, they're far enough away that I can walk in my backyard. The branches constantly falling off, big branches.
How close are they to the river?
To the river. Christine came over the house, and she said she'd be here tonight, and she came over, and I think that she said there, I could be wrong, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but did she say 85 feet or something like that?
Okay. Do you have the, does the hardscape go in the back of your property between your property and the river?
I don't know what that means.
There's like a gravelled, hard
it's
area.
Like, I call it pavers.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then there's rock going all the way down
yeah,
to the river.
yeah, okay. All right, any questions from the commission? No? All right. I think we can easily -3 this one, so that you can take the trees down, okay? Whether you make new plantings or not is up to you. We're not gonna order that, okay? But you can take the trees down, okay? Thank you for coming in. We'll take a vote if we can get a motion on it, but
Okay, so I'll receive some kind of a,
yes.
So with that, I'll offer a motion to issue a -3 determination for this project, which includes removal of 2 trees from the subject property.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
By Commissioner Toner on Commissioner Lovely's motion. Is there anyone here who'd like to offer their comments or concerns before I close this one out? No, hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. You're all set?
thank you very much. I
Okay, you're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Thank you for coming in. Tonight's third item is a request for determination of applicability. Camelot Court, number 1 condominiums. Project location is 293 to 301 Pawtucket Boulevard. Camelot Court submitted a request for determination of applicability to remove a rock garden located in the floodplain. Yes, ma'am, if you could identify yourself for the record.
My name is Carrie Ann Gilroy. I'm the property manager for Camelot Court 1. Okay. Just request to remove a small rock garden in the courtyard of 293 to 301. It's been there for years, and just aesthetically, some residents have complained that they would like it removed. We already have a quote for the removal of it, and we'd like to get it done before we actually get a big snowfall. And then the springtime, we plan on putting some seed down to grow some grass there.
So it's just that small 20 by, what, 20 feet or so?
If that, yeah. Yes.
Just a maintenance issue?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of upkeep and just overgrown.
All right. So the only important thing is don't mound up anything in there, just match the grade of the existing lawn?
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
So, what are you gonna do with the rocks? You gonna dig a hole and bury them, or are you
No,
gonna
they'll be
remove?
removed from the property.
You're gonna remove them from the site?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Um,
landscapers will do that.
And, I mean, that's basically it. You just really need to till it and just match the surrounding grades, that's all. Okay?
We'll do that.
Are there any questions from the commission? Is there anyone here who would like to offer their comments or concerns? All right, hearing none, do I have a motion to issue a -3?
Anyone else?
Come on, go,
I'll
go 3 for 3.
Go for it, Kev.
I'll second that motion. Or you wanted me to?
All right.
Do we have a motion?
I thought you motioned.
No?
No, no. All right, I'll offer the motion, go 3 for 3. It'll be my hat trick of the night. I'll offer a motion to issue a -3 determination for this project.
Second.
I'll second that motion.
Seconded by Commissioner Dillon. Motion by Commissioner Lovely. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, the ayes have it. All right,
Okay.
you're all
Good
set.
night.
Thank you. You too.
Tonight's fourth item is a request for a certificate of compliance, Lamplex LLC, concerning DEP file number 2060754. Project location is 25 Emmett Way.
Good evening, Chairman. For the record, my name is Matt Hammer, 10 George Street, Lowell, Mass. We're here for a request for a certificate of compliance for 25 Emmett Way. Included in the packet that we submitted were some photos of the site, the required Form 8A certificate of compliance, as well as an as-built plan. I can say that the contractor did a great job there. They graded the site as per the plan. We did confirmatory test pits on the groundwater as well, and the infiltration system was installed correctly. The roof drains were installed correctly, and the property owner went forward and even put sod down on the entire property as the photos show. And we feel as though that the project was completed in general conformance to the order of conditions. We also had a site walk with Ms. Christine McCall yesterday and walked the site, and I received her comments as well, where she indicates that the shed was removed. That was originally on the plan that we said we would remove. And like I said, the site looks really clean. They did a nice job, and they did not extend beyond the original limit of disturbance.
Oh, look, just a quick question. The plan we have isn't stamped. Do you have stamped plans?
Yeah, we submitted stamp plans. Originally, this should be a 24 by 36 stamp plan that we submitted. And then the 11 by 17s, we just printed out in color.
Okay.
It's just on the printed one.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Looks really nice. It looks really nice.
It does.
Just one question, as you are the engineer for the site, you are part of the NOI. Is it your professional opinion that it was built in substantial compliance with the order of conditions?
Yes, I do.
All right. I don't have any further questions. I like the walkway, it looks really nice.
Yeah, they did a great job.
Yeah.
They really did.
The landscaping is really first rate, so it came out nice. Any other questions from the commission? I have a motion to issue a COC.
Move to issue a COC, certificate of compliance.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Varnum, on the motion by Commissioner Toner. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
She got them to us at 5:10 this evening, and we've at least had a chance to take a look at them, yes. I think we're all set, but thank you, though.
Oh, this is the hard copy one, right? Yeah, okay.
Are you able to see that? Is everybody able to see?
It's not as nice as that.
I just want to see the... Oh, the application. All right, moving on to tonight's next item on the agenda is a request for determination of applicability, University of Massachusetts Lowell. Project location is 225 Aiken Street. A proposal is submitted to construct a new recreational facilities within 100 feet of the Northern Canal. And before we start, those do not look like tennis courts to me. That's a joke.
Wrong color?
All right,
All right.
it's yours.
Well, thank you, and good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, and senior planner. My name is Adam Bakey, representing UMass Lowell this evening. I think you all will recall that I was here meeting with you several months ago in preparation for the removal of the existing building from the site, and we're pleased to be back now, having significantly advanced the design of the project that I could really only describe to you last time of what we're going to be doing with the site. We are going to be constructing 2 new multi-sport recreation fields and 2 tennis courts on the site, as we had discussed previously. They will be artificial turf, but we'll have a full drainage infrastructure below them. And we will be dramatically reducing the impervious area on the site from the pre-development or our pre-project conditions, where about 50% of the site was in paved parking, and most of the remaining portion of the site was a very large one-story warehouse building. We had extensive discussions previously about attempts to preserve existing trees on the site, and consistent with what we discussed previously, we are preserving all of the trees that we are able to with the design, which is essentially all of the healthy trees that are located along the canalway, and we're looking to replace the one tree that's missing from the rhythm along there. We are also preserving the majority of the trees along Aiken Street. And in the locations where the trees were either unhealthy or are going to be disturbed by the construction in such a manner as to likely make them not do so well after the construction, we're going to be replacing those trees with new street trees along the other two frontages of the property. And I believe there's a net gain in the total number of trees on the site as a result of the project, and a substantial net gain in the number of healthy trees. We did lose a couple of trees over the course of the past winter to the elements on the site as well. Joined this evening by our engineers from Weston & Sampson that can discuss the drainage infrastructure, the design of the project, or anything else you all may have questions about. And, we hope you will support a negative determination.
I actually have to recuse myself from this. I have to recuse myself from this.
So noted.
Good evening, my name is Brandon Kunkel. I'm a registered landscape architect with Weston & Sampson. This is my colleague, Will Blaze. He's the project engineer regarding the stormwater design. As we indicated in the submittal, we are significantly reducing the amount of impervious pavement that is on site currently by going from approximately 70% impervious area down to 20% impervious area. The synthetic turf field is all being infiltrated into a collection system and capable of capturing a 10-year storm before overflowing into the existing system within Hall Street. We are, as Adam had indicated, we are actually, at the end of the project, we'll be adding or having a net gain of trees that are on the site now. We are currently saving 11 trees. Majority of them are along the canal. There are a couple that are able to be saved along Aiken and Hall Street. And we are currently, due to the location of the existing trees, removing 32. We are proposing 33 new trees along that are deciduous trees, 11 new broad spreading street trees, and 9 upright green evergreens for a total of 44 total new trees. As you guys are aware, the project is currently under demolition of the existing building. And I believe there were some comments regarding a status update on that. I can elaborate a bit if you guys are wanting to hear that information. So it is proceeding as planned. Let me just make sure I'm answering all your questions here. The 12-inch sewer pipe that is currently on site is still currently on site. They actually haven't removed it yet, or abandoned it, I should say. But at that time, they do plan to follow the procedures of filling it with sand. The 10 trees that were originally discussed about trying to save, they are still currently on site. Unfortunately, just given the location and the proposed plan, those trees will be removed. And they do plan on keeping you guys in the loop. They just haven't had any updates yet to provide.
All right, so couple questions, couple comments.
Sure.
The north is to the tennis courts, I think?
Yes.
Okay.
No, north is towards the canal, I'm sorry.
North is down?
Yes,
Is that right?
yes, yes.
Okay. All right, so, well, it'd just be easy to reference the canal side. So I'm assuming that, are these going to be for, are these going to be practice fields, competition fields, intramural fields? What,
They are going to be recreation fields for our student recreation programs. These are not going to be part of our Division I athletic program.
okay, so they won't be utilized by other schools coming in?
There
competition.
is, the recreation program does have some club sports where there may be some other club teams from other schools come and visit here, but there won't be spectators.
Okay. So that being said, I'm assuming that the perimeter of the two fields are going to have a fence around them of some sort to
That's
protect,
correct.
you know, people not from falling into the canal and people from running across the fields and you know, balls from going every which way. So I'm assuming those fences are going to be between the field and the trees, correct?
That's correct, yes.
So how about along the canal side, you have the tree boundary, which is what, I mean, it's hard to gather a scale, but I'm gonna guess about 20 feet, perhaps, from the fence through the trees to the canal,
The fence is probably, what, about 30 feet from the canal?
30 feet or so?
Yeah, the trees
Okay.
and the canal way.
What is going to go along the edge of the canal? Are you gonna put a fence there also, or?
No, the National Park Service actually holds an easement
Okay, all right.
over the 20 feet immediately adjacent to the canal. And
Okay.
they've constructed the northern canal walkway along there.
All right.
That will be maintained, and the trees actually fall within their easement area. That will be maintained. The fence will actually be constructed on the university side of that easement area, even though the
Okay.
easement is actually on
It-
university property.
I just wanted that to remain open. So,
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
One for the, not really for the National Park Service purposes, but for our four-legged friends that utilize those runways, so, and that's one of our jurisdictional areas, so. The lighting now, I'm assuming that it's gonna be on timers.
The lighting will be controlled, much the same manner as the existing lighting on the athletic fields in the North Campus is controlled today. That, the only major difference we're going to see is those lights will probably be on less late at night because the recreation programs that currently have to play on the North Campus will now be able to play at much more attractive hours over here instead.
What time would you think that they would be extinguished?
I can't say precisely, but I would imagine that they'd be looking probably on late days going till like 10 or 11 in the evening, perhaps.
Okay, so now let's get back to the infiltration now. It's, how do these fields, I know water can penetrate through them, so you're gonna have a subsurface collection system?
Correct.
And that's gonna go into an infiltrator?
Correct.
So
Well, so,
So you're gonna use some sort of underground tanks? Or infiltrator system?
so actually, the actual infiltration system is 12-inch perforated pipe that surrounds the entire perimeter of the field, plus the stone that is used to construct the field, or the base of the field, is actually also being used for collection, the voids of the stone, over the entire area of that field, and there's lateral drains underneath the field as well.
Okay, so basically, you think you can handle a 10-year storm?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm assuming then you're relatively flat out there. If you have a significant storm, you're gonna have runoff or just collection, and it'll eventually infiltrate them. And that's the whole idea here?
Correct.
Is there any overflow to this system?
The overflow is, so once they've breached a 10-year storm, the overflow is, there's a existing structure at the corner, it would be the southeast corner, or Holland Cabot. There's an existing structure that is actually, that's how the existing site drains now.
Okay, And how much of, did you, the existing site that drains now, do you have any data on what the, on what the collection is, and is all of it going into,
Yes, all of it actually goes into one structure in that corner.
and it's going into the city storm system?
Correct.
Okay, and so you're removing essentially everything under a 10-year storm? so,
Correct.
Okay. All right, and that wasn't happening, I'm assuming, before?
Does not happen now.
All right, okay. That's it. Commissioner Varn?
When I read through this, it didn't seem that there was going to be any impact to speak of to the canal, which is the resource.
Correct.
What is the maintenance of all of that drainage?
The maintenance of the drainage,
Maintenance?
there should be minimal to none. At least underneath the field now, we do have a couple of area drains or catch basins in the main plaza, or the entrance to the site, but those are deep sunk catch basins that can be cleaned out. We actually provided a maintenance plan where they would be cleaned out, as a on-needed basis, but minimally, I believe it was twice a year.
Mm-hmm. But that would not be under the field, that would be just the perimeter?
Correct.
I'm still not sure what the, I know you said numbers, about the trees.
Mm-hmm.
The construction of the field goes too close to the roots, I take it, to save some of those, or they're hanging over the field, or what was the?
They're actually in the field area, unfortunately.
In it. So on this plan that you're showing here, those are proposed trees then?
There's a combination of proposed and existing shown on that tree,
Okay.
or that plan.
Do you foresee that the deciduous nature of some of those trees is going to be a problem for keeping that off the field? Keeping the
No,
leaves?
it's treated much like just your regular lawn area where it's raked up or blown off and then collected and taken off-site. Adam can...
We actually had a pretty extensive discussion with our operations and services folks about what the priority there was, and they actually expressed a preference for deciduous as opposed to evergreens, because maintaining even if it was a more limited quantity, but maintaining the pine needles that would fall was actually much more of a challenge for them with this kind of a field system than the deciduous tree leaves. They are largely the trees are outside the fence as well, so the vast majority of the leaf fall will be outside the fence and won't be on the fields.
So you are going to be putting some evergreens in as well, then?
More on an ornamental basis in a
Yeah.
few selected areas, yes.
Okay, well, I don't really see any major impact on the resource with the plan you've made.
Commissioner Lovely?
I think it's a great project and a reuse of an underutilized property. As a former UMass Lowell student, it's nice to see rec fields. I could tell you when I played rugby, we played across the street from the train station, and we used to pick up the glass off the field. So that I could tell you, I think that's great for the students. You said no. I noticed there's no seating area, so it's going to be standing spectators, if any,
Yeah, we actually made a very deliberate decision for all kinds of reasons to avoid doing any kind of spectator seating. One of the issues is that does trigger in the building code requirements or the plumbing code requirements to construct toilet rooms with sufficient capacity to support all those spectators, and that would have been cost prohibitive for the project. Plus, we were also very cognizant of the interests of a lot of the neighbors in the area, that we don't want to be bringing large volumes of people to the area with the parking implications and everything that goes with that.
Well, you couldn't have a better location with the rec center right next door.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
No, my compliments on a great project. And it sounds like, just out of curiosity, the pine needle, I'll use the analogy of pet hair on fleece, trying to pull that out. I'm thinking maybe that's probably
I
why
imagine so.
Exactly it.
Yeah. All right. Well, nice job. No further comments.
Commissioner Toner? Oh, you're abstaining, sorry about that, Commissioner McDonough? Commissioner Dillon?
No comments.
All right, I just have one further comment or one further request, and that's, again, along the canal fence. I don't know, and part of the reason, and I forgot to, finish this when I was making my comments, part of the reason why I asked if it was for competition was, I know that schools like to sell commercial space on their fencing. As far as the canal fencing goes, and again, this is probably for intramural, you probably won't be putting anything up, but if the university is so inclined or clubs are so inclined to hang stuff on that fence, it would be my request that, if there's any wind screens going up or anything like that, that at least on the canal side, that the side facing the canal be environmental earth tone colors, greens, browns, something that blends into the environment on the canal side. Okay, so if you put something on the inside, it has to be shielded from the outside, okay? So you need something on the outside and on the inside, or something on the inside of that advertisement that makes it invisible to the outside, okay? And that's not to protect the National Park Service, that's to protect the critters walking along there so they're not scared by variated whites and blues and oranges and unnatural colors. Okay?
Yep.
Other than that, I agree with Commissioner Lovely. It's 1,000 times better than what was there, and it looks like, a really first-class, world-class type of project, so.
Thank you.
All right, do I have any comments or concerns regarding this request for determination of applicability? Does anyone like to offer their comments or concerns? All right. Do I have a motion to issue a -3?
I'll offer a motion to issue a -3 determination for this project.
Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Varnum, motion by Commissioner Lovely. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
When's this work going to be done anyways?
The goal is to have the fields playable in the fall.
Really? Next year?
Yep.
Be good for next year's growth.
That's up to these guys and a really good contractor, hopefully.
Judy, is anyone here from the city on Lucy Larkham? No? Okay. So, next item on tonight's agenda is an enforcement order, City of Lowell. Violation location is Lucy Larkham Park, construction of a new sidewalk within 100 feet of the Merrimack Canal. I had requested this, and has it been ratified yet? Okay. I had requested this just to offer some background on this. If you've walked by Lucy Larkham, you've noticed that they replaced the existing sidewalk that goes under the high school tunnels. And not the one that's right on the bank, but the one that's closer up to the old building and to the church. It's done. They actually did a really nice job, but that's also upgrade of the lower sidewalk that's right along the bank. And when they were doing the construction, there was no siltation barrier there, and I had requested that siltation barrier go up, and I guess the response from the city was, no, we're not going to do it, so I said issue an enforcement order. So it was, that's basically how this came about. We need to, the work is done, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, I think they have loam and seed to
Well,
finish.
and that'll have to be done in the spring.
That'll be done in the
Right.
spring, yeah.
The other part of this was, and I noticed that they removed, there was 8 porta-johnies chained to the fence. And I have no idea why they needed so many, but maybe it's a union thing. I have no idea. I was shocked to see that many. It was like every porta-johny within 50 miles was chained to the Lucy Larkham fence. Yeah, they were moved. They didn't belong there. And you know, I just had envisions of them getting tipped over the fence into the canal. Now, the canal's drained at this point, but it wasn't originally, so. Any discussion? No? Do I have a motion to ratify the enforcement order?
Move to ratify.
I'll second it.
Okay, open for discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. And just let Mr. Mayo know that when they've stabilized it, that, I mean, we'll just table this until, you know, the springtime when they've had a chance to plant. I mean, we just wanted some straw wattle, that's pretty much it, so. And that's been put in place, so. All right. Did I already take the vote? Yeah. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. All right. Okay. Next item is also an enforcement order, Emmanuel Silva. Violation location is 160 Martin Street, and it's construction of a 4x6 deck with 4 steps located in the floodplain. Yes, sir. If you could identify yourself for the record, please.
Yes, Emmanuel Silva.
Okay. All right, thank you. Judy, what can you tell us on this one?
So I guess there was an existing concrete steps, and the applicant constructed a wooden deck with 4 steps over the concrete, existing concrete steps. And it was done without building permits. The building permit saw it, building inspector saw it, and so the work has been done. And I think what needs to be done is the concrete steps need to just be removed. So this is the entrance to, it's used for entrance and egress to the property. Add anything to that?
I do have a couple pictures.
Okay, so there were existing concrete steps that
Yes.
were there that were removed?
Yeah, actually, the steps have not been removed.
No.
And we were there today. The steps have not yet been removed.
Where are they?
The wooden steps were built over,
Okay, all right.
over the concrete.
Okay, all right.
It's basically the same footprint though, right? It's just wood over
Yeah,
concrete.
it's basically the same footprint, yeah.
Was the, where does that walkway lead to? The one that comes straight out?
It leads to the street.
Huh?
To the street.
That goes to the street?
Yes, there's a wall.
There's a wall there?
Yes.
How long has that wall been there for?
When I bought the house, was there already, I don't know, sir.
All right.
When I bought the house, the steps were falling apart, the cement on 2 of the steps, and my wife, she slipped last year, you know, when we had a little bit of snow, a little bit of sleet on the steps. That's why I ended up going over it. It was wrong. I did not ask for permission, but that's the reason why I did it. I didn't do it to add anything to it. It was for the safety of getting in and out of the house, to go over the other steps.
Were there railings beforehand Or was it,
There was the metal railings that were there.
and so you just built wood footprint, you know,
Yes, yes,
kind of like
four steps, but over the.
over the concrete
Over the
that was-
concrete,
alright.
yes. Because I have the pictures over here, but I did not submit, I didn't know I was supposed to because
Right.
it shows that concrete was breaking apart when I bought the house already.
How, you have a, it looks like there's a, to the left of the stairs, it looks like you have like a concrete skirt that runs around the basement. What's that for?
That was there already, I'm not sure, it's probably about 4 inches high, that goes around the foundation of the house from both sides. Actually, in the front and a little bit to the side, doesn't go all the way to the back.
Do you know how far down into the ground that goes?
I don't, was it, when I bought the house, was there, I'm not sure if they put it, I know it's in a flood zone, but I'm not sure if it's anything to do with that, the wall was there and that was there.
Who built the steps?
I did,
Oh, you did them yourself?
yes,
Okay, so let me ask you something. The concrete, how many concrete steps were there?
4,
4?
yes.
Are they the hollow kind, or are they solid all the way through?
It
Do you
looks-
know?
It looks solid to me, but it looks solid, I don't know. I didn't break none apart, so I don't know. And I could see that it's starting to break on 2 of the steps from the side, and that's why they were not as wide. They were like maybe 4 inches, 4 to 5 inches, so that when my wife was, when we go in and out, it was easy to slip because the foot did not have a good standing on it, because didn't have a good deep, yes.
From the quality of these stairs, it looks like you're fairly handy.
Yes, good. Thanks. That,
How handy are you with operating an air hammer?
I can do that. That can be done. Yes.
Because it looks like you have access underneath the stairs,
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
And, it's kind of tough to do it now, but, I mean, this is a floodplain issue.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Um,
I know it's been water there before, that,
It-
from
it
10 years ago, that.
It might be acceptable for you in the spring to
Yes.
get under there with an air hammer
Yes.
and take out the existing steps.
Yes,
If they're hollow, great, they're gonna come out really easily.
yes,
If they're solid, it might take a little bit more elbow
okay,
grease, but
okay.
that might be a solution. There's not much we can, do we have the, do we know how high the 100-year floodplain is out there?
I don't. I don't.
Yeah, so it's probably like 4 or 5 feet then. Because that one was, that was 5 to 6 feet. It's 71, I think. I think that's what Beatty said. Yeah. I mean, there's not much we can do with the handrails, but those are required by law. I mean, I can see getting under there with an air hammer. It doesn't look like it would be I mean, it looks like it would be a weekend with a lot of,
Yes.
a cooler full of your favorite beverage and maybe not so much. And do you have any sons
A
or
little bit tough, but.
friends and throw a pizza party maybe? And
I do, it can be, yeah, of course. I
and
can-
just get under there with an air hammer and take
gonna be
the
a-
existing concrete steps out.
Could I ask permission? I'm not sure that I'm not on that part, the step that's closer to the foundation, because I'm not sure if I take all the way up to the foundation, so I don't leave nothing open with the foundation.
Right,
Could I
you're
ask-
resting on that?
Yes, stop before that, on that last step that touches the foundation, because just when we get water or snow, so no leaks goes inside, would that be okay?
I'm going to offer a comment, for my fellow members to think about. The whole issue, this is before us because it's within the floodplain and every bit of fill counts.
Yes.
But, putting aside the railings, which are a safety requirement, I mean, it looks to me all you did is put a wooden veneer over the existing concrete stairs.
Yes, yes.
To me, that's different than when we, go inch by inch, for fill. And I would say, I would agree with the chair that if you could get under there and do it a best effort,
Of course.
you know,
Yes, yes.
do it.
Yes,
But
that's good.
I don't want someone to go under there and backbreaking work trying to do this with an air hammer and potentially hurting themselves, and I think this is one of those cases where I agree with the chair that, it's worth looking at doing, but if it turns out that solid concrete, what we're talking about is having a wooden veneer over existing concrete, and I, for one, would say that the safety concerns of something happening to you underneath there outweigh any de minimis loss of floodplain storage caused by what I would consider to be a veneer of wood over concrete. That's my opinion.
Thank you.
Hold on. Any other comments?
If the concrete steps were solid, then it would seem that you wouldn't even need to take all of them out because the wood is
Over it,
it's open underneath. It's hollow, isn't it?
the wood?
The
Yeah,
wood
it
is,
is.
it
It's
isn't
open.
like you have 8x8 beams for each
No, no,
step.
no, no.
It's,
No.
it's like a shell, like Mr. Lovely said. I don't know. I think it would seem to be a good idea to save those couple of cubic feet of fill in the floodplain, but on the other hand, I think you did go through the building department and they approved this, and it would seem that coming back on you now is kind of unfair.
Yeah, and I agree, and, good comments by Commissioner Lovely, sometimes the voice of reason here. But like I said, if you can do it, okay, and I'm not gonna sit here and say, hire someone to do it. I'm not gonna sit here and say, move the stairs and do it. That's not what I was getting at. It's only if it's easily doable.
Okay. It's a low area.
College try.
Yeah. As far as the step that you're using for support and it's against the foundation, yeah, leave that one, right?
Yes.
Because, that you may just run into other problems. You hit that, you hit your foundation and.
That's why I asked for that, just
Yeah.
because.
Oh,
just in case
Again,
if-
only if it's doable. If these, a lot of these steps were precast,
Okay,
okay, and they're hollow,
yes,
okay, so that they're like 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick. And
Okay.
once you punch through, they sort of break down.
yes,
So if that's the case,
yes,
it's going to be relatively easy. Okay,
Okay.
if they're solid, you may hit some rebar,
Okay.
in which case, I'd say stop.
okay,
Okay, because you're just going to make a bigger mess than what you've got.
okay,
But again, only if it's doable. What I'd suggest at this point in time is we can ratify the enforcement order and just table it until the spring.
okay,
And then, what I would suggest is, perhaps sometime in, I don't know, why don't we say on or before the first meeting in June?
okay, okay,
Call the office, give them some idea whether you can do it or not. Or even if you want to try and tackle it now, but it's cold, it's miserable, right? I'm not suggesting doing it now, but,
it's a low
yeah,
area,
try
because it's only 4
and
feet.
figure it out.
It's
And,
only only
as
4 feet
Commissioner
high.
Lovely said, if it's just something that is really not workable,
Okay,
let us know,
okay,
okay?
okay,
But if you think you can get in there and you think you can do some damage on it,
then I'll
have at it.
call with the
Okay.
commission back in
As
June.
Commissioner Lovely said, give it the good old college try, right? So,
Okay,
and again, we hate to see this where you've been issued a permit to do the work, you think you're doing the right thing, only to find out that, something else is going on that you didn't even know about, so.
yes, because it
okay.
was for the safety, that's the only reason why I put them there, because my wife slipped on there, and then, the steps was beginning to break, so that, and now that I'm, to get to them, it's gonna be, it's not impossible, it's possible, but if I could, if they can break, if I can keep the one from the foundation, because so I
Right.
don't get into more problems going into the foundation,
Right.
then I would be into a lot of money. There'll be
Yeah.
more expense than,
Yeah, you know, I mean, I'll tell you right now, some conservation commissions would, in other cities would say, take the stairs down. It's never been this commission's purpose to do that. It's
Thank you.
economic waste. You know, it doesn't make sense. As far as the, you know, the hand railings go, they're technically filling the floodplain. Even if you were able to get the concrete steps out,
okay,
you couldn't compensate for that. But, you know, again, the Wetlands Protection Act, you know, we have to defer it to safety, and that's a safety issue, so.
Okay.
So, all right. So, you know, I mean, it's not like you didn't have steps there before you did. You improved the situation, you know,
yes.
you
it
made them
was-
safe.
They were not,
Right.
yes. Mhm.
Okay. All right, so why don't we table this until the first meeting in June?
Need to ratify?
Yeah, okay, do I have a motion to ratify? Thank you.
So I'll offer a motion to ratify the enforcement order, but table the discussion until June of 2017.
Come back in June. Or
Yeah,
ask them, or come back
just
in
be in touch with the office on it
Oh,
before
a
that. You
phone
may
call,
not,
right?
yeah, just a phone call. You may not have to come back.
Okay.
So just let them, if you've made some headway, give us a call, let us know. We might have you come back in. If you can't make headway, give us a call, let us know.
Okay.
And we might have you come back in, but you contact us on it before June 1st.
June.
Right, and then we'll take it up then, and we'll let you know what we, you know, how we feel we can go from there. Okay?
So just a call, don't have to come, or come
Yeah.
into the office, yeah?
Yes. Okay, do I have a second on the motion?
Second that.
Commissioner Varnum, motion by Commissioner Lovely. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You guys have it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a good holiday till then.
You too, thank you so much. Thanks.
Earning any money tonight?
Yeah, don't get anything extra for this.
Moving on, University of Mass Lowell. Notice of intent concerning DEP file number 2060765. Project location is 1499 Middlesex Street. A notice of intent has been filed by the Schofield Brothers LLC on behalf of the University of Massachusetts Lowell for the improvement of the rear portion of the site and for use of an open storage area on land subject to flooding. The project will also include improvements of the stormwater management on the site. Yes, Mr. Backey.
Yes, good evening again. The Conservation Commission staff was courteous enough to allow us to group our things on the same agenda. This is an unrelated project, but we also think it's an improvement for the city on a number of levels. This is at 1499 Middlesex Street, which some of you may know as the former Middlesex Rental Building. The university acquired this property in the spring and is in the process of redeveloping it for some of our service functions, which allows us to decant those functions off of our academic campuses to allow for expansion of our programs and our enrollment in those core areas. The reason we're here before you this evening is that the rear portion of that property is in the floodplain. It's actually the floodplain to the Black Brook. There is a railroad embankment that separates it from the river, even though it's fairly close to the river. It is not a jurisdictional area in any other respect other than floodplain. I'm joined here this evening by our engineer from Schofield Brothers, who can talk through what we're doing in terms of making improvements to the storm drainage system in the area. And this property actually takes care of the storm drainage for itself, but also for several of the surrounding properties. And this project should make that actually better than the existing conditions. We are also not looking to create any new impervious area as part of this, and we will be slightly increasing the amount of flood storage available as part of the project. So with that, I'll let our engineer go through any details and respond to your questions.
For the record, my name is Fred King from Schofield Brothers Engineering, and I've got two boards that I can probably get to from here. Okay. To get you oriented on the site, the property this is the property right here. Sorry about the shaking. Yeah. Right in here. The north is up. This is, of course, Middlesex Street. The property is an L-shaped property, about almost an acre in size. And as Adam was saying, the rear portion of the site is within the floodplain. This is the existing conditions survey plan. The line in pink is the boundary of the 99 contour, which is the floodplain in this area. As you can see, the area where the buildings are is the highest portion of the site, and the front parking areas and are above the floodplain, and the building floors are above the floodplain, but the entire rest of this property and actually the area in the front of the property at the street are all below the floodplain. The Merrimack River is about 175 feet off the back end of the property. There's the railroad property out in the back, and then Black Brook is about 600 feet to the southeast. The floodplain, this section of floodplain actually borders on Black Brook, but the 100-year floodplain is actually the backwater of the Merrimack River in this case. Black Brook flows down south of the site, joins the river, and so during anything up to about a 25-year storm, this area is sort of isolated from the floodplain of the river in Black Brook, and this area is sort of a depression that receives all the runoff from the surrounding properties. It's a depression, so it acts as an isolated land subject to flooding. So we have sort of two resource areas wrapped in one, isolated land subject to flooding up to about a 25-year storm, and then after that, it joins with the 100-year flood. So in designing the project, we had to make sure that we met the performance standards for both isolated land and bordering land subject to flooding. This is the only wetland resource area on the site where there's no vegetated wetland. But what happens here, there's about a 3.5 acre watershed that includes Dunkin' Donuts, the property to the west here, which is a sort of little business complex here, and this mill building in the back. That all drains to this depression, and the area is fairly permeable, so the water drains into the soil here. So it does pond on an occasional basis back here, and we have to deal with the floodplain issues on the site. So that's sort of the existing conditions situation here. The project is to take this area in the front is virtually all paved with the exception of this a patch of grass out in front. But the project is to take the existing area back here. It's now vegetated with weed growth and so forth. There's an existing ponding area in the back corner of the site that was put in back around 1985. There was a filing with this board for the drainage in that, and it picks up a catch basin up here on the front of the site, and there's a pipe that connects to that depression. And this was an effort to try and dry the area out a little bit better, and this area was occasionally mowed for various outdoor storage purposes for the businesses that were in here in the past. So what the university wants to do is, by the way, we did soil testing in this area. We dug 4 soil tests, confirmed that there is permeable soil below, but there's about 1.5 to 2.5 feet of fill in this area. It's old fill. And so what we're going to do, what the proposal is to take about 1 foot of that material out and replace it back to the original grades with a well-draining sand gravel mix. So it'll compact, but it'll still be free draining. It'll have very low fines, so it'll still infiltrate, have a lot of, in fact, it'll improve the existing infiltration capacity of the general area. And then to help, again, but there will be an increase in runoff from the site to itself. And so what we've done there is to pick up the runoff that comes off of Dunkin' Donuts and the runoff that comes off of this, the property to the west, is to create an infiltration system right here with a couple of forebays to manage to keep the water from running across the site. Right now, water runs, off the Dunkin' Donuts property and off of this adjacent property, and it puddles in here for a short time and then disappears into the soil. This will help to control that into a designated spot. The existing depression that's in the northeast is going to be expanded, and we're going to make what they call stone-lined infiltration basins. And again, we will have 2 sediment forebays to help keep the recharging portion of the basins clear and free draining. And what we have done, in the notice of intent, there's some charts. We're not changing any of the grades, but we are increasing the flood storage on an incremental basis. The chart, let's see. These 2 charts are in the filing, and this chart here shows the existing conditions and proposed conditions, volumes of this basin at increments, at 1 foot increments all the way from the 93 elevation up to the 99 contour. And so at each of the lower ones, because we're not doing any alterations above the elevation 97, but there's an increase in flood storage because of the increase in the storage capacity we're creating in the stormwater management system. The other chart shows the computed flood elevations of this basin at the 1, 2, 10, 25, and 100-year storms. And essentially by doing this, because of the increase in runoff, and we've provided the extra storage and the extra infiltration, what this does is virtually matches the existing flood heights. You get a slight benefit, slight reduction, and this, again, these flood heights are from the localized flooding. Like the 100-year flood elevation of the localized flooding is.
So your second set of calcs are for the isolated.
Yes.
For the isolated land subject to flooding resource.
Right.
Right.
They both are. But this is for volumes. This is for elevation of flood, and you can see that they're virtually the same here. A slight decrease at all storms. We got it pretty well balanced, and then the volumes are increasing, and that again takes. That's being done because of the change from a vegetated surface. It's not the greatest vegetation in the world, but it is vegetated, and going from that to a gravel type of a surface. So there is an increase in volume. So that theoretically would have increased the flood heights, but by doing the increase in these stormwater management features, that brings it back down to where it should be.
So quick question, so what you're doing then is with the switching to the gravel is you're increasing storage, you know, the pore space between the gravel versus the existing vegetative cover, which isn't in the best condition, probably has less storage, but because of that additional storage to meet, you know, so you're not creating a bowl or anything, is you're shunting that water in stormwater management systems.
Right. All the we're not really taking into account the storage in the gravel base or the parking area. That happens in the stormwater basins.
Got it.
So the runoff goes, for instance, the runoff from the mill over here, and at the back of this lot comes down this way, will go through a sediment forebay. The lot itself will go through a sediment forebay and into this basin. This portion of the lot and Dunkin' Donuts and this property over here comes by and gets into this basin here.
Okay.
The area is still going to flood, but it's essentially it's an improvement over the existing conditions. They tried to do this back in 1985, which had some success. It actually does work. It drains, but it's small, and and actually we have done a conservative estimate on the runoff on here, so it should operate actually better than we anticipate.
All right, so I'm looking at your flood storage volumes, and your only changes to the grades are in that back area, or are you in the front by the buildings, you're doing some paving changes also? It looks like there's some.
Yeah, right in, well, no, we're not changing the grades in here. There's a proposed bump out on the building above the floodplain, right in this corner. And that's just an adjustment in the front of the access door into the building. Right there, but that's above the floodplain.
So how are the vehicles going to get back to that back area?
There is an access easement right here. So normal cars and trucks, normal pickup trucks and smaller trucks, they will go right in through the access easement and down in through here.
All right, so when you say easement, that it's owned by your neighbor, but what type of, is it a permanent easement? Is it a limited easement? What kind of easement are we talking here? And does it allow vehicular traffic?
Yes, it does. We actually acquired this property from the neighbor to the northeast, and as part of the acquisition, they also conveyed to us that easement for this specific purpose and intent. So we are allowed to, under that easement, the rights to do this, and it is a permanent easement.
Why? I mean, stupid question, they all are, but why not just purchase it outright?
They wanted to preserve, the owner of the property directly behind us also owns the large mill building, as well as another couple of lots in the area. And they felt it was important, by their calculation, to preserve the underlying square footage, because at some point in some distant future, that may be valuable to them in calculating some zoning compliance or something else. And it was perfectly fine for us. We have no other interest in that little strip of land other than the ability to pass and repass over it to access the rear portion. So this was an amicable solution for both parties.
There's also, by the way, in this project, a gate is proposed right here. And on an occasional basis, when there's a larger piece of machinery or equipment that needs to get in there, or something larger that they need to store, they will, on a rare basis, be able to, with the cooperation of the neighbor, be able to access the site through that gate. But the primary access will be, you know, through this easement and down into the back. This is all paved right down to this point, so.
So, I mean, I guess the easement is that little rectangular piece above the triangular.
Correct.
It's right there, right?
Yes.
And so the vehicle traffic's gonna go from the street down in between the buildings and make a left turn and then a sharp right turn?
That's right.
Okay, so the exposure of the existing building that's, you know, the former Middlesex Rental building over on the left side there, the back exposure, has the fire department given, have they seen this? Have they given approval for that turn? I mean, that's only like, I mean, your turn radius there is like 15 feet.
Yeah, it's not really a matter that the fire department would have jurisdiction over. So no, the fire department hasn't reviewed that, but this building has really on all of the two long sides of the building, as well as the short side facing the street, has fire access right up to the whole length of the building. So in terms of addressing fire code compliance, there's no need for the fire department to get back into there. And in fact, what we are proposing to do, however, will actually improve the conditions over what exists today, for what it's worth. I don't think there's a whole lot of need for the fire department to be back there, but
All right,
this would be an improvement.
That's like a really tight turn. I'm just, you know.
Yeah, we actually had, we did some full-scale mock-ups with some of our operations and services vehicles that would actually be doing it prior to making any decisions about which way to go on here, with just some paint marks on the ground, and they ultimately felt comfortable with what this will do for what they need it to do for.
I mean, you could get a flatbed down there in case a car needed to be towed out, or?
Well, that's, again, as Mr. King pointed out, we have also negotiated with the abutting property owner the ability to install a gate in the fence on the side. So in the event we have an emergency like you're describing, or frankly the fire department needs to get back there for some reason, they actually have pavement almost all the way over there, and that's a dirt lot there, so you could actually go through that, around and through that gate for the kind of emergency circumstance you're describing.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it's all kinds of, you know, car fire, all kinds of things can happen back there, right? So, okay, so most of the grade changes are happening in that back L section, right?
Virtually all of them.
Okay, and you're increasing the flood storage capacity, so that's always a good thing. So, all right, I don't have any questions, Commissioner Varnum, or any further questions.
Are you bringing in soil to create the berms around these? In other words, would the berms be higher than the existing grade when you're through?
Yeah, there is, this will be at grade existing, this one. There is a small berm here that is just there to direct water to the sediment forebays. The volume calculations in there are part of these calculations that determine the balance. So there is a little grade change in that area to control the water. But yes, there is a slight grade change. And by the way, there's going to be, what's green here, that this basin's going to have a stone center, and then it's going to be like a conservation mix around the outside and a detention basin mix in the inside. So this is all going to be vegetated except for the stone lining on the bottom. Same thing over here.
So will there be maintenance to that?
Yes. In the notice of intent, there's a full long-term pollution prevention plan with an operation and maintenance plan for both of these facilities.
And the university's grounds department that is responsible for that maintenance will be here.
Very handy. You say that you're saving 2 of the 11 trees, is it?
Yeah, there's 10 trees. Well, actually, there's 9. The one over here, there's 2 big ones. This one right on the property line, and there's one over here. That's a twin tree, two stem. But we're saving those 2 large ones, and then there's 7 smaller ones that are, have to come out to create this.
What kind of trees are those that you're saving?
There's 1 elm and some ashes.
Now, you appear to be doing some digging around there. Is that going to affect those 2 particular trees?
We're far enough away, and we're sloping it down. It's such a shallow slope that it should not cause a problem. If we do run into roots there, we've recommended that an arborist be brought in to root prune to make sure that they don't damage the trees. But they should be all right. They're far enough out. Mm-hmm. And like I say, the excavation is only about 18 inches in the area near them, so it's not too deep there.
Now, do you have any snow storage area set aside on this?
There is a snow management plan in the long-term pollution prevention plan that was provided, and it's basically the routine items where snow. By the way, this entire back area is all fenced in, and so they would need to just, small snowstorms, they'd be pushing it to the side. If it's larger and they need to, some more space, they're going to have to designate some areas for stockpiling or take it off the site. One thing that cannot be done is the snow cannot be put into the basins.
So you be marking those off for the winter with stakes or something so that, it's your own crew doing it, right?
Yeah, the people that do the snow removal for the campus are the ones who are here.
Right, okay.
And chances are, when there's a major snow event, this will be probably the last on their list, and they may just not use some of this area in those events too. It's entirely possible.
Did you think about what might happen on those adjoining properties as far as affecting you? I know you're taking some of their water.
Taking almost all of their water, actually.
Really?
In both cases.
Yeah, what was the property to the far west? It's 1519 and 15 to 1527 Middlesex Street. That area was redeveloped not too long ago. I think they finished it in 2011. We actually took their stormwater model and built it into ours, their finished condition, which was all built, and they have flood storage underneath their building and so forth. So we took that, and so we've considered that. Now, if they do something different, that's a different story, but hopefully they would have to come before you folks, because they're in the floodplain too. Everyone down here that would be doing any work within that 3.5 acre that drains into this depression would end up coming here, and we would hope that we would be watching out for any increases in flow into that basin, because it's already getting more than we would like to have, but it's what we have to deal with.
Okay. I think that's basically all I was wondering about. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, if memory serves me right, I know that's the martial arts studio, but I think that was Mr. Beati who was in here earlier. I think he was the engineer on that, if I recall. Maybe not, but...
Sullivan Engineering?
Huh?
Sullivan Engineering?
There was another guy then. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't him. All right. Commissioner Lovely? Commissioner, no, you're abstained from this?
No questions.
Okay, any comments? Okay. Commissioner Dillon? Commissioner McDonough?
So that area in the back is essentially going to be for parking, the gravel,
Parking and equipment storage.
and the 2 buildings in the front, are they going to stay the same?
Largely, we're putting various service uses from the campus, so our grounds department, our carpentry shop, our central receiving, our mail, and our back office duplicating and copying for the whole campus are going to be down here.
So there won't be too many changes to those buildings in the front?
There's a fair amount of work going on inside the buildings
Yep.
in terms of changing, because it's totally different use from what was there before, but we're not really changing, other than the adjustment to the loading dock to support our central receiving function. There's not really much happening to the exterior of the buildings.
Okay, thanks.
Judy, anything further from the city on this? No? Okay. To me, I think we can issue a Lowell standard order on this. It was a fairly comprehensive filing. Thank you. It's, I always appreciate seeing the calculations and flood storage being gained. So that's always a benefit. The ability to infiltrate on this site would be good. I suppose the only thing I would like to see is you removing some large trees. I don't know their health. I would imagine they're probably fairly scraggly, but healthy. Maybe I don't know, some shading in there or something like that along your fence line. But again, if it's type of thing that's going to be, in the way, or create a maintenance issue. I know your fence pretty much goes right up to the limit of your property, so that might be a very difficult thing. But if it can be done, we like trees, and as you know, this is a perpetual wet area, and its ability to infiltrate is dependent upon lower groundwater. And, these large trees have a voracious appetite for water. I can't think of a better mechanism for lowering groundwater than having some healthy trees in your neighborhood. So just the removal of 6 or 7 trees is several thousand gallons a day in the growing season. So that's something to consider. And since you're the recipient of your neighbor's water, something, it may benefit you way more than the infiltration trenches even, so, and the infiltration areas, so. Other than that, I don't have any comments. I'm certainly not gonna, I don't think it, it can be ordered, but it's, their nature's way of, of keeping that into check. That's why they're there probably to begin with, so. Given the nature of the site and how, abused it's been back there is, but yet they're still there, okay? So, obviously they liked it, and that's, my guess is where they are is probably one of the lower areas on the site too. So, and that's, that's why they chose to grow where they did, so. Given the size, those trees have been there for a very long time too, so. All right, do I have a motion? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Actually, I'm going to open it up. Is there anyone here who'd like to offer their comments or concerns, either for or against this filing? Yes, sir, if you
Yes,
could
I'm
identify
Don
yourself
Ady.
for the record.
My name is Don Ady. I'm the owner of the business at 1505, which is the Dunkin' Donuts property. And my only concern is, we do get a lot of water that, pools in the back end of our parking lot. And we want to ensure that, it's not going to get any worse than it is, because it is pretty wet back there. And I want to ensure that that area doesn't become an area where they do bring in snow from their adjoining lot and dump it back there as well. And I'm not sure also how many vehicles are proposed for this area, and also whether the property will be lit or not.
Okay, so let me just, I'm sure the engineer can speak to this, but the water right now goes from your property onto theirs.
It does.
So if they
Yes.
change the grades to prevent that, so the water that's on your property stays on your property, you have nothing to say about that.
Yeah, no, I think,
Okay.
I think the concern is,
Sir, the floor is mine.
I'm
But
sorry.
you have nothing to say about that. They're just saying, we don't want your water anymore, okay? And they have the right to do that. They're actually improving your situation. From what we're seeing, they're tremendously improving flood storage capacity, which means they'll be able to take even more water, and they're getting rid of it quicker than what's there now, which will also improve your situation, and theirs consequently, and they're doing it for themselves, but it's also based, you're higher than they are, they're lower than you are, so by improving their own situation, it's going to improve yours too. As far as increased ponding, again, by improving their own situation, it's going to reduce the ponding situation, the isolated land subject to flooding. It's going to reduce their experience with that now, okay? Just because there's a historic runoff doesn't mean that that necessarily has to continue, okay? They don't have to accept their neighbor's water. I mean, it's, there traditionally may have been some bad engineering out there. There may have been some bad, situations, with respect to runoff. But the way it was presented to me and what I'm looking at as far as this engineering goes is that everyone's situation out there is going to improve a little bit. Might not be huge, but there is going to be an improvement. Okay, so you should see something like that. As far as winter snow storage, Commissioner Varnum, did you ask that, or was that addressed at all? As far as bringing snow on site? It didn't sound to me like that was going to be an issue. I think this is going to be a four-season parking lot for them, so.
yes.
Okay. That's what it sounds like to me, so. And it sounded like to me if it was, like a 2-year-ago event, that they're going to be taking snow off the site, not bringing it on the site, so, okay. And I'm sorry, now the floor is yours.
Okay, no, my real concern is right now, it's all vegetation right now, and I know how it goes into the ground. It does pool back there, and the ground accepts it. When it's gravel, it's, I'm concerned that it's not going to take it as much. Now, I know that's the reason for the new drainage that they're putting in, and I'm hopeful that it will improve my situation back there, and I understand that they're not required to take my water, but that is what happens right now, okay? And it does pool several times during the course of the year back there, probably in the spring when the water table's high, snow runoff, and, spring showers, there is a substantial amount of pooling back there. And I just want to make sure that, it's not going to worsen my situation than what it is right now.
Yeah, from what I'm looking at, their goal is to utilize, it's not being utilized now for anything other than just empty space and,
Yep.
Perhaps storage, that Middlesex Rental may have been using it for, whatever they're putting back there. But it sounds like the university, to me, is going to be using this as an active daily or perhaps even long-term vehicle storage. And as a result of that, it's in their interest not to allow the ponding. So, and by building this out the way they're proposing, it's not that they're going to refuse the water. They're still going to be taking it. They're just going to be getting rid of it quicker than what's there now. So to me, from what I'm looking at is a win for them, but also a win for their neighbors too. They're going to be improving your situation without any cost to you at all. So
We welcome them as neighbors, really, because the property has been abandoned for some years now,
Yeah.
too. So it's good to see that it is going to be you know, facelift, and, you know, there's going to be some improvements back there too, you know, but those are just my concerns on it. Okay? Thank
Okay,
you very
thank you.
much. Okay.
Is there anyone else who would like to offer their comments either for or against this project? Is there anyone else who would like to offer their comments either for or against this project? Attorney Cox, you're here for Mr. Daly? Okay, hearing none. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll offer a motion to close the public hearing.
Seconded
I'll second that
by
motion.
Commissioner Dillon, motion by Commissioner Lovely. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Do I have a motion to issue a standard Lowell order?
I'll offer a motion to issue a standard Lowell order of conditions for this project.
Seconded.
Seconded by Commissioner Toner, motion by Commissioner Lovely. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it.
Good
Aye.
night.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Good night. Good luck. Thank you for coming in, Mr. Ady. All right, tonight's last agenda item is a notice of intent, Daily General Contracting, Inc., concerning DEP file number 2060766. Project location is 1 East Merrimack Street. It's a notice of intent has been filed by Sullivan Engineering Group, LLC, on behalf of Kennedy Waterfront Trust. Right here. For the demolition of a one-story brick building with an address of 1 East Merrimack Street. A portion of the site falls within the riverfront area of the Concord River, and the 100-year floodplain is located within the embankment area of the Concord River. So who's the applicant, Daily General Contracting or Kennedy Waterfront Trust?
LLC, right? LLC.
Applicant is Kennedy Waterfront Trust.
Okay.
It's the trust, Mr. Chairman.
And Attorney Cox, if you could identify yourself for the record.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Attorney John Cox, 375 Gorham Street, Lowell, Massachusetts. I represent the Kennedy Waterfront Trust in what is really the first phase of what's going to be a very, very, very exciting proposal for the downtown. And just to say at the beginning, we have met preliminarily with many city boards or city departments already, and Judy and Christine from your board have been fabulous and always great to work with, and we certainly appreciate that. What we're looking for is to basically remove, demolish that building on 1 East Merrimack Street. As we all know, it used to be Chevy's, it used to be Dillon's, it was a lot of different places over the years. Over the last few years, it has fallen into disrepair. It's been basically abandoned and not in good shape. Mr. Daly has plans to demolish that, hopefully, demolish that building and actually build a 9-story, 95,000 square foot luxury condominiums in those units, 61 of them actually. You may have read, there was some coverage in the newspaper over the months about the preliminary plans, but that's clearly what we'd like to do. Obviously, to do that, we need to demolish what's there now. And that is a single-story brick structure. Be hard to call it even a building at this point, but clearly it's on the Concord River. It pertains to the Concord River Greenway, that easement along the Concord River, which this project will open up all of these various things. So what we're hoping to do, and again, meeting with Judy and Christine, they have put together a very specific number of conditions which we wholeheartedly agree with, and look forward to working with the city on this demolition project. It would be a very transparent process, and one that hopefully can again turn this area and help out this whole East Merrimack Street corridor. Jack Sullivan from Sullivan Engineering, and as well as Jack Sullivan, the architect, are here this evening to answer any questions you may have. We're really looking forward to this process, and we look forward to working with this board. Clearly, if an order of conditions were to issue and the demolition were to take place, before we would build this actual building, we would obviously come back with a notice of intent with this board. So that's where we're at. We're very, very, very excited about it, and it has been well received by the members of the city government that we've spoken to really give a boost to that area of the downtown.
All right, do you want to introduce your engineer and bring him up?
Yes, because they're both Jack Sullivan, so it's easy to introduce them.
That should make for an entertaining record.
For the record, I'm Jack Sullivan, the engineer from the Sullivan Engineering Group. Just to add on, I did want to mention that DEP did issue a file number for this project.
Yeah, we have it.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I wanted to also say, the 100-year floodplain, it doesn't come onto our site. It's contained within the embankments of the Concord River. So really what we're here tonight with the Rivers Act, there's a 25-foot protection area that is jurisdictional, but we don't have any sort of floodplain issue. I did want to note, as you can see on the plan, there are some catch basins that are along Davidson and East Merrimack Street that we show silt sacks to be placed in for protection. The building will be raised in some sections. They're going to put in some sheeting along the existing paved parking lot to provide shoring along that. There'll be a 6-foot-high construction fence set around this site. And the idea is that when this is demolished, everything will be loaded out into a truck and hauled off-site. There'll be no stockpiling as part of this project at all. There's no, we do have a staging plan showing where construction trailers and some things will be staged during the project. David vetted that out with some of the city staff, and that staging plan was agreed upon. But I did want to note that there'll be no soil stockpiling as part of this project. Everything's going to be, all the demolition debris will be loaded right into a truck and removed off-site. Part of this project is the building takes up the entire property. So there has been some borings done in the small area that's outside the building envelope, but additional borings will need to be done once the building's taken down. We do have the structural engineer with us here tonight if there's any questions for him. But following this building being taken down, there'll be some borings done because our next phase, when we come back to you and we go to the planning board, is we have to show what type of foundation system we're going to have in place. We know there's going to be some piers put in. I think we submitted like a plan to you, just a pile plan showing preliminarily what we're thinking of doing, and that's really, it's not to be voted on tonight, but that's just for discussion to show where this project's going. And we understand we're in a sensitive area. We're right at the river's edge. So as part of that, as you can see in the plan, there'd be OSHA-approved netting placed along the embankment of the river. If you go out there now, obviously it's low flow. When I went out and did some survey work 3 weeks ago, I could see right down to the base of the concrete embankment wall. This is a project that Dave, assuming gets approved, an order of conditions is issued, the 10-day appeal period goes by. This is something he's looking to get going on right away. And then we come in with a full notice of intent for the construction, and we're hoping this would become like a springtime project if all the board hearings go well. That basically completes my presentation. And
So I would imagine that a 9-story building, your footings are going to have to go down to bedrock, right? Or I mean, I'm not my knowledge on that, but I mean that's a big building.
I think that's part of the study, and I can let you speak on that.
Hi, I'm Paul Spocky with TF Moran, a structural engineer. Our intent right now is to to use piles under the footprint of the building to keep the load off of that existing wall on the river. We may look at in the back where we get away from the river, going to spread footing. That'll be part of the study we need to do once the building's demolished to get a better sense of where the bedrock is and what the soil conditions are.
Yeah, because the existing building now actually descends into the wall, so
Right.
I don't know how much of it is wall, how much of it is building, how much of it is foundation. I mean, I'll leave that up to you guys, but it's been a decade or two before the last time I've been inside there, so.
That's part of what the demo will allow us to get in there and do this study.
Yeah.
Because we don't know a lot about that existing wall, and we obviously don't want to affect it when we're building the new building. So once the building is demoed, we're going to get behind there and excavate to see what's holding that up and to verify that we're not putting any new loads on the wall.
All right. All right, Commissioner Varnum, are you done do you have anything further to add? I don't. Do you, Attorney Costello? No, okay. Commissioner Varnum?
Your plans call for dismantling the wall along the Concord River by hand. How is that accomplished?
Board, David Daly, 40 Lillian Street. I'm the developer and the general contractor on the demolition portion of the project. The brick wall sits on top of the concrete wall, and it's that's part of the process when we're demoing it. That's going to be done by hand or a mini excavator. It's going to be a very slow and tedious process. Obviously, we'll have netting there, but we want to make sure that we don't have any effect on that wall below it. So we're going to, as part of our demolition plan, it's going to be monitored by structural engineers on site as we take down that brick wall. And then the demolition of this building will also do the extra borings to see where the bedrock is and what type of structural situation we have there. So when we come back before you, the board, we can have a better plan in place.
So they'll be working from inside the building?
Correct.
On that wall?
The plan is the existing parcel, there's a good-sized parking lot behind that we own. So we'll be the demolition of the building will take place from Davidson Street, from our empty lot in the back, and then from Davidson Street, we'll be stockpiling the trucks with the brick and debris and offloading them, trucking them off-site. And it's a process that's going to take anywhere, the actual demolition, we're thinking maybe 2 to 3 days. But then when we clear out the actual building and get into the basement area and how we're going to be able to deal with some of the shoring of the wall if we have to do that. But the testing by the structural engineers will determine that.
It mentions netting. What is that netting strong enough to hold, for instance, a brick wall that might fall unexpectedly?
Correct.
And how is that attached to the?
It's a process that we go through. We attach the netting, so we'll determine an area of the building that we're going to take down. We'll attach the netting to it. We'll take that section down and remove the netting and move to the next portion. It's pretty, if you can believe it, the brick comes down really pretty easily. It's not a real structural situation at this point. With the brick, it's only holding up that one story, so we don't really anticipate any major issues with that.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Lovely? Commissioner Toner? Commissioner McDonough? Commissioner Dillon? Okay. So this is just the demolition phase. Just as for curiosity's sake, I mean, you're proposing a 9-story building.
Correct.
Okay. Pretty much the entire site?
Correct.
Are you going to be doing like underground or surface parking under the building? No? So you're going to utilize one of the existing city garages?
The Davidson lot or
Davidson
the
lot?
lower locks in the back.
All right.
And we have received already a letter from...
I don't care.
Okay.
It was just a curiosity whether it's going to be in the building or not.
Yep.
So
No.
That's not anything to do. I'm just trying to get a sense for what we're expecting for the building itself. So sounds pretty impressive.
Thank you.
You know, and based on your past work, I know it probably will be spectacular, so.
Thank you.
So this would be a fun one to watch going up and see what happens. But, yeah, my guess is that that brick wall there is more veneer than anything, so. So.
We already took down a little small portion of that already, and it came down in minutes. It was a little slight push, and so we understand we're already up against when we did the initial boring test. Part of the administrative questions I have tonight, and I think if we can have this discussion, if we're gonna have to file a complete new NOI on this project, or if we tie it into this, because it's the same project but a different phase of it, the NOI, what do you?
Yeah, typically in a project such as this, that happens in phases, the demolition phase is done under one NOI, and the construction would be done under another NOI. So it would be two separate filings.
Will it be, so another public hearing?
Yeah, yeah, most definitely, because the construction phase is such a substantial change that the DEP wants review, and they wouldn't necessarily get quote-unquote a modification if it was under the same filing. So it's something that would slip under their radar, and they don't take, and again, I mean, could it be done? Maybe. It wouldn't be in your best interest.
I agree with that.
And just to add to that, I mean, just when UMass Lowell came here and for the recreational fields, that was a separate filing.
Okay.
You know, they did the filing for the building demo, and now they're coming for the filing for, the putting in the
Oh,
recreational.
that works. I know, just Judy, I had some dialogue about that and whether or not how we should approach that, and that makes perfect sense to us. We plan on doing that, and it does make sense, so.
Let me just ask one question. With that, do we have to close out the first order on the demo before you can issue an order for the new
So
construction?
the answer to that is no.
Okay.
Okay. The sub-answer to that, the exception to that, is provided that there's no significant outstanding issues that would impact the new filing. Okay. So, for instance, if there was something left in the construction phase, you found a dirty site, something like that, we would not want to know remediations and whatnot to go on prior to, prior to commencement of the building phase and part of an NOI as far as that goes. If, for instance, as part of the demolition phase, the structural integrity of the canal wall was going to be impacted and something had to be done to shore that up, that now impacts the resource itself. You characterize, I don't remember if it was Attorney Cox or I guess it was you, Mr. Sullivan, that had characterized that the floodplain is entirely within the walls of the canal and the Concord River at that point in time. So if that was to change, then that would be something that we would want to resolve prior to a construction going on, because then at that point in time it leaves it open. Okay, and we could be into midway. I don't know if any of you are here with the stairway. Okay, tiny little stairway, right, that got built out without an order. They had a permit, a building permit, but not a conservation permit to do it. It would be a very similar situation where, you're halfway through the steel and, you've invested millions of dollars in the building, and now we find we have to alter the embankment. Okay, we want to know about that beforehand, so we don't want to find out about it after the fact.
It's good to see that we don't have to close out the other one. Obviously, we're moving forward with this project, so, I mean, there's a 10-day wait period on the actual appeal process with this, if we hopefully get voted approvingly tonight, and then we're going to be filing hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks, so, again, we're trying to expedite the actual demolition of this building, so it's good that hopefully we won't have any issues with that, and so we can we'll obviously disclose those if there's any.
What is your timeline for the demolition?
I would like to do it within 30 days. That's the
Okay,
goal.
so you want to get that done relatively quickly and?
Correct.
Okay, all right, so let me open this up. Is there anyone who would like to offer their comments or concerns either for or against, at least the demolition phase of this project? Anyone who'd like to offer their comments or concerns either for or against? Mr. Hammer, you're here for what still? Just, okay, so Chair notes that there's actually no one left here other than the proponents and their engineers. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll have a motion to close the hearing.
By Commissioner Lovely, seconded by
Seconded.
Commissioner Toner. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Do I have a motion to issue a Lowell standard order for the demolition phase?
Move to issue a standard order on this particular project.
I'll second it.
By Commissioner Lovely, motion by Commissioner Varnum. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. All right. Thank you, Attorney Cox. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Thank you, Mr. Daly. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you.
Have a
It'll
good
be
night.
a project you'll be very proud of as we go along.
Yeah, it's better than Boston. Judy, do we have minutes? I left my packet, so that's all. I noticed that they're there. Is there any other business that's pending?
Only other minor, National Grid filed their notice for 5-year vegetation management plan, yearly operational plan.
So noted. All right. Good night.
With
All
that,
right.
I'll offer a motion to
Yeah,
adjourn.
yeah, we have a bunch of things to sign. Do I have a motion to adjourn by Commissioner Lovely, seconded by Commissioner Dillon? Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, the ayes have it, and good night.
Good night.